essentially convicted in the media. You don't have to read but a few articles to see how negative they are about him. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Your Honor, Brian is innocent.
Listen up, the ashes stir, phoenix wings unfurl, seeking truth beneath the blur. Turnings for the lax to meet the blur. Out the flames I rise, wings scorched but unbroken. Truth's the blaze I wield, every rhyme's a token. In the nest we move, hearts stump in unison. Searching for the light where the system cuts our wisdom. Built on lies and steel, they boxed us in cages. Now we break the locks, rewrite history's pages. Innocent until proven guilty, that's the oath we recite. Under this constitution we ignite the night. We rise like a phoenix in sync, we claim the street. Nest seekers united, our freedom can't be beat. Stand up when one falls, yeah we got your back. In a free land unbroken, we launch the righteous attack. Justice for the voiceless, break the chains of deceit. Innocent till proven guilty, our victory's complete. System cracked at the seams, built for just a few. We rip apart the scheme, bring the truth into view. Movement swells like thunder, souls fueled by conviction. Phoenix souls aligned, demanding our new vision. Marching on the courthouse, banners paint the sky. Echoes of freedom roar, watch the old guard comply. No more hidden verdicts, no more secrets sold. Every voice is a weapon, every story be told. Innocent till proven guilty, that's our final decree. Under this constitution we stand forever free. Phoenix in the dawn, truth ignites the sky. Together we stand tall, no more asking why. Listen up, the ashes stir.
Hello everyone, how are you on this beautiful Monday? Woo! I'm telling you, this is going to be a powerful live and you guys don't want to miss this. Tag your friends, tell the world, dude, this is powerful. Wow. Welcome everyone in that is watching this. You are not going to believe what I've uncovered. You won't believe it. You are going to want to tell everybody. Every single person that has ever doubted you, doubted the way you think, because you didn't comply, you're here. Your gut intuition told you something was not right. And you're right. Woo, we got somebody from Ireland in the house. Welcome, Helen. Hello, Amanda B. Stephanie, welcome in. Dana, Michelle, I'm doing great. How about you? Welcome each other. This is just a powerful nest of people. Jump into the nest. Whew. Tell you, I'm feeling like feisty and on fire today. Well, why Phoenix? Let me tell you all. This girl's been one busy girl. I am almost done with this digital book, with these digital answers to all this craziness. Absolutely craziness. Kansas City in the house. Squirrel, welcome. Welcome, everyone. I hope that you guys have had such a fantastic week. And if you didn't catch the amazing live yesterday in regards to 95% of our court people who are in prison, 95% have taken plea deals. Yes, you heard that right. You heard this right here. And I'm telling you, if this was my son, my brother, my uncle, my friend, my family member, I would be fighting just as hard. Because why? This happens. Guys, this happens. It happens more than you know. What are we getting into? Well, I'm about to drop it on you. You guys are going to love this. You're going to love it. Here we go.
Feel the heat. Truth ignites us from inside. Hear the roar. We'll never run. We'll never hide. Phoenix drops fireballs of truth. Flames that scorch the darkest roof. Watch deception burn away. Feel the dawn of honest day. Rise again with wings of flame. We will never be the same. Phoenix fireballs of truth. We rise. We rise.
right. Here we go. Idaho 4, the real story will set Kohberger free and exonerate him. How? Well, we're going to tell you the real story. We're going to dive into the sequence of events. I'm going to talk about the knife sheath, the body removals, the possible cause affidavit that got Brian involved in this mess and arrested. Was this airtight or full of cracks? Now I'm going to ask you, Chad, what's the most suspicious part of this case to you? Was it the sheath, the car, or the timeline? Which one was it for you? Of all those three, was it the sheath, the car, or the timeline that made you the most suspicious part of this case? For me, it was the sheath, Cindy. You got it. For you, probably the sheath. This has been the most talked about item and DNA touch, by the way, in this case. Amanda, all of it. I hear you. So let's break it down for you, because you know what? Y'all know this happened this week. This happened. And what about it? Well, drop a 1. I want to make sure my audio is perfect so you can hear me loud and clear. It's all suspicious. I agree. Everything. But this DNA on this sheath had been the most suspicious to Ann Taylor too. And do you know why? It didn't make sense. And now I know why she focused in so much on this. This crime scene, these body cams that were released recently, we went over this Friday night late. When it was released, we immediately started playing it and looking at it. Gunderson shown right here on the Moscow Police Department at 12:05, walking up the stairs, just as you saw the murders on their body cams. Now, they didn't specifically show us, but we got the gist of what was going on. We got the gist. We've seen them walk through the crime scene. Seen some of them not even have proper gloves on, right? And this is the actual factual video. It's out there now. And let's have a walk through slowly for this stream so that you can understand what I'm about to say.
Secure the outside first. So.
No gloves Gunderson is what I call him. Touches that handrail all over.
There's a back entry. I was going to start taping it all off.
Brian's taping the outside off.
Okay.
Where's the...
There are 2 right here.
I believe Nunez walks back up because he says, wait a minute, where are you going, Gunderson, in his head? Gunderson, in my humble opinion, was on a mission. And he went straight to where? There's the guy in the camera, in the mirror, on camera. Sneaks into the other room. Well, which room are we talking about? Because everybody keeps talking about the wrong rooms. This is the good old Latah County Barbie doll house of 1122. He went right up the stairs in this little corridor. You see the back balcony in the background, and I'll switch back and forth to that picture so that you can see it. Here's the balcony. There's the picture. Right there. As you're looking at that picture, And he's walking up the stairs. Make sure you remember this picture. He's going to walk right into here. There's a mirror on this, I believe it's the west wall. There's a mirror there. And this is Maddie's room. But I have been screaming all weekend. Who's this guy in the mirror, and why does he sneak into Kaylee's room? Why does he sneak in there? Well, let's watch a little bit more of the video and you'll see. Here we go. Gunderson comes out of Maddie's room. He had no gloves on. I don't know what he grabs. It looks like he's going to put gloves on. I don't know. But the other officer sneaks out of Kaylee's room and is right in front of him. Watch him go down the stairs. Bam. Right there.
That's pretty good. I already got it. I got in there.
Shut the door. The dog's in there. He goes and shuts Maddie's door. That is where Maddie and Kaylee was. He doesn't shut Kaylee's door. I don't think he did. I didn't hear him shut the door. So when you look at this dollhouse, you get an idea of what the layout was. Now, we see the body cams of just one of the officers. He walked right into Kaylee and Maddie's room, and he doesn't mention any sheath. Y'all, he doesn't say anything about any sheath. Just keep in mind the scene right there be frozen for just a minute. The bodies are all left in place. No bodies were removed yet. And all over the place, people have said that the bodies were moved on the 14th. How come they didn't log in the sheath until the 14th? That makes sense. So I went back and I started to look through all the logs that mention the sheath. Every single log, date and time. And you know what makes sense? That sheath appeared allegedly after someone else went inside the residence for probably approximately 60 seconds. And how do I know that? By looking at the timeline, by looking at the evidence. Because my first question was who, when, why, where, what, how. And when you look back at all the logs, you're going to see exactly what I saw. And I'm going to start right here on this narrative from Moscow Police Department, because there is no information from the ISP documents about this process. And why do you think Anne was so vigilant about chain of custody with this sheath? Because it doesn't add up. It does not add up. The timeline doesn't add up. So on this document written by Brett Payne, now mind you, Brett Payne did not get there until 4 o'clock in the evening. on the 13th was Sergeant Blaker. He didn't get there. But when he got there, ISP forensic team was already on scene and preparing to process the scene, guys, even before he got on scene. So Officer Smith was one of the original responding officers of the incident, and he walked Payne and Blaker through the entire scene. And then Blaker gives his account of what they did. But keep in mind, right here, item 11 is what they collected on the 13th that they say they did. But this report wasn't written until December 4th, and it wasn't logged into evidence until the 14th. But the timeline still doesn't fit. You can go and read his full report. He entered the house. He observed the small bedroom of the west side of the bottom floor. And keep in mind, this is still the dollhouse picture that we see. Remember the dollhouse picture that I'm showing you. And this report, what I'm reading from, is the actual report from Blaker, number 51. And here's the sheath, number 11. Supplement 51 in the Moscow Police Department and number 11. He says he appeared on the scene at 4 p.m. Now remember what time everyone else was in the house. There were 4 to 5 other officers that were in the house. And keep in mind, they did not have their body cams on when Payne and Blaker went through this house. They had no body cam reported. No case number added. Nothing. So they say they walk through this, they walk through that, and then they notice, they go through the bathrooms, they go, and I don't want to read this word for word. They go upstairs to the 3rd floor of the residence, and it consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bathroom on the west side of the house, which I just said, and the floor was later determined to be Kaylee's room. This room appeared neat and picked up. The only thing note was the sheets on the bed were pulled back in a manner which suggested someone had been laying in the bed and gotten out of it. Now that kind of lines up to what maybe Dylan said, guys. Because honestly, Dylan said she heard Kaylee run downstairs and said, "Someone's here." I mean, honestly, if you look back at the dollhouse, where could somebody have possibly entered this house? Was it Maddie's window? Possible. Was somebody already in there? Because remember, Dylan said they were all in Kaylee's room and they had pictures taken at 2 a.m. with Murphy. Well, we don't know if that's true because we haven't seen those pictures. We haven't seen those pictures. So we're going back to the wonderful police report that says the bathroom shared a wall with Madison Mogan's bedroom, which was situated on the southeast corner of the 3rd floor. As I entered this bedroom, I could see 2 females in the single bed. The bed was situated along the north wall of the bedroom, and both females, later identified as Mogan and Goncalves, were laying on their backs with their heads towards the east and their feet towards the west. Now, how is that possible if Kaylee was said to be running down and up the stairs? Did she go back into the room? Is that possible? Then he goes on to say that the direction of the only door to the room, they were both had visible stab wounds and were covered in significant amount of blood. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather sheath laying on the bed next to Mogen's right side as viewed from the door. Now, I know a lot of you are screaming from the high heavens that somebody planted the sheath. Someone planted this sheath. Do you think that that's honestly possible? Do you think that someone planted evidence? Let's use our logic here. Let's use our God-given logic. Now, they noted after 4 o'clock that there was a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed on the right side when viewed from the door. The only way we're going to get this to see if it's truth is that they release the body cam footage showing the sheath next to Maddie Mogen's body. Now, we don't need to see all that. We just need to see proof that the sheath was there when the very first officer got it on camera. That's all. That's all. Because I shared already that Gunderson's statements don't line up to a lot of the body cam that we saw. I've pointed that out already. I talked about this when he said the call was called in and he was already there and his team was already there. How was that possible? So he said, I remained in the room for a moment, then proceeded back outside. Now, keep in mind, this is coming from Payne walking through with Blaker at 4 in the afternoon. The only way we're going to find out if there was really one there and when it was appeared is if it was there in the beginning. And how do we know if it was there in the beginning? We don't right now. We could only assume that Ann Taylor did her due diligence because later on, that leather sheath had someone's DNA, blood contact DNA on that knife sheath as if they were injured during this horrible, heinous crime. So the logic is we don't know if it was placed, but then the logic is also we're out there looking at everybody's hands. We want to see if anybody's been injured because according to the documents, someone had to have been injured and their blood mixed with Maddie and Kaylee's. And it wasn't contact. It was on contact blood on the knife sheath mixed with Maddie and Kaylee's blood. Now, we know the knife sheath button said it had Kohberger's, but let's talk about that infamous knife sheath. Because in a lot of these documents, it wasn't mentioned until later. Much later. I'm going to jump to supplement 3 and I'm going to show you on page 453. On 453, sequence number 3. I want to make sure you guys can see this. I might need to make it a little bit bigger. Let me make it bigger for you guys. I hope you're all behaving in here. Yep, that's better. Much better. Okay. So here is Mitch Nunez report. This is his report. Remember, he was sent back to the station to start doing warrants and write reports. 6:48 on the 13th, sequence 3. He writes a statement. He said the body cam was on. Additional officers that responded was Gunderson, Snyder, and Warner. And yes, he added the watch guard case number into the evidence. And I believe that's probably the body cam we saw that was released this weekend. It says he approximately at 11:56, he responds. We see that in the video they released. He's in his car. He's on the scene. He saw. The 1122 was facing the north. He saw it. I was directed to a bedroom on the second floor by H.J. We all know who that is. Upon entering the room, he saw a female laying supine. That is on the back, facing up. Okay? According to DM, this is really weird, guys. This female was likely KG. According to DM, this female was likely KG. Now, why would KG be on the second floor? No, it was Xana. But then why does it say, I observed dried blood surrounding Kaylee's body and signs of cutting trauma to her face? Kaylee was covered in so much blood. I wasn't able to immediately discern where any additional injuries would have been. Kaylee was apparently deceased due to her pale skin color, rigid body tone, and her apparent blood loss. On the bed in the same room, I observed Kaylee. I observed a male on the bed. What the heck? What? Say what? Am I reading this right? And this guy has got his body cam on to prove this? Follow the reports in the timeline. Supine is on the back, face up. Who got it wrong? Who got it wrong? And then Hunter showed me a kitchen knife and said he had it in his possession. I told him to leave the knife and go back downstairs. Well, we see that on the video, right? We see him go and tell him, leave it, right? This is when he first comes in. When he very first comes in, he says, okay, go ahead. He says, stay back there, please.
Okay, get back.
I don't know if they're still in here or not. But it's like that, and they're like
1370.
Now, Hunter is rambling on something about Maddie, right? I don't know how they could have got that one detail wrong. And don't you think after he wrote this report, he would have went back and fixed the report? He could have always went back and fixed the report, guys. Always. And then he says, I observed blood around Ethan's legs surrounding his body in the sheets, yada, yada, yada. I told H showed me the kitchen knife and I told him to leave it. And I told him to leave the knife and go back downstairs and wait at the entrance. Officer Warner and then I visually cleared the residence of any suspects. And on the third floor, I found 2 additional deceased females. The 2 females were likely Xana and Madison. What? What? Did they get it wrong, or is this the actual report? He was the very first one on the scene, guys, and we still don't know because they have not let us see the footage for verification. But they've seen the footage for verification. Was he confused? Why didn't he go back and fix the report? This is what I'm trying to say. Why did they not go back and fix all their mistakes? If this was the official report, why have they not fixed this? Because you know what? He goes on to say I got all their documentation. I got all their driver's license, and Sergeant Silverding signs off on it and says, yes, I certify and declare under penalty of perjury pursuant to the law in the state of Idaho that the foregoing is true and correct. Don't you think he would have went back, and if he made a mistake, he would have fixed it? Hello? So he says these two females were likely Xana and Madison. One female showed a traumatic injury to her face due to the facial structure being unrecognizable. Both females showed very pale skin. They were covered in dried blood and apparently deceased. After the resident was deemed safe, Officer Warner and I exited the residence to secure it and the immediate area, to include the parking lot to the north of the entrance. I walked outside and began interviewing Dylan. Dylan told me approximately 4 o'clock that she heard a voice screamed and believed it to be Kaylee's. Dee said she heard Kaylee scream and announced somebody was inside the residence. Now this doesn't make sense at all. Because if Nunez had confirmed that Kaylee and Ethan were in the same room, that means that Kaylee was the one, according to Nunez, on the floor. Dylan said she could hear Kaylee run from the 3rd floor down the stairs to the 2nd floor into the northwest bedroom, which would mean Kaylee ran to the floor across from her bedroom door, which would be whose room? Whose room would that be? Think about it. If he's telling the accurate story and he's written this down, and Dylan said Kaylee ran from the 3rd floor downstairs to the other bedroom. Remember the dollhouse picture, guys. Remember this dollhouse picture. What room did she run to across from Dylan's room? Xana's. She would run into Xana's room where she felt she was safe. Then he goes on to say that Dylan said she heard a struggle and a male voice say, "You're okay. It's going to be fine. I'm going to help you." She said she didn't recognize the male's voice. Dee said after a few minutes, she peeked out of her bedroom and observed a male, approximately 6 feet tall, slim build, with a black ski mask, leave the 2nd floor patio area. This patio was likely left open. So did she follow him? Because I know that you can't, remember the dollhouse, you can't really see the kitchen from her bedroom because there is some type of wall. I know you can't see it here, but there is some type of wall and her bedroom is offset. So is this factual? Is this true? Is this the first-hand account? He was the very first person in the house. Then he interviewed BF, told me she was at the residence during the commotion. So Bethany and Dylan state that they are physically there. B said she was on the 2nd floor in the living room watching Vampire Diaries with Dylan. So they were both on the 2nd floor at around 2 o'clock with a person named L. Don't know who that is. Madison and Kaylee came home from the corner club and they were hanging out at 2 o'clock. And Madison and Kaylee went to the grub truck. She said B took they came back. B and Madison took the dog out between 2 and 3. And that would leave Dylan and Kaylee in the room to take pictures, as Dylan said, at 2 a.m. Bethany said during this time, she observed no suspicious activity. Bethany said she returned outside while Madison was still outside with Murphy. She left her out there. B said she went to bed about 2:30, which we know that it could be possible until 4 o'clock they started texting, and she calls DM at what time? She calls DM at, let me look at my timeline. Bethany calls DM at 4:19. 4:19. So we've got that timeline down. We've got that confusion already noted. So what in the world is the official story and timeline? So the sheath was discovered and logged on the 14th. But here's the deal. They don't mention what time. Not one time at all. Captain Lanier came in at 3:17. At 5:20, Officer Warner arrives to relieve Officer Smith that's been there all day. Then Officer Nunez arrives back after he went to the police department. And then Gunderson entered the house, and less than 1 minute later, he exited. So what was he doing there for 1 minute? What do you think he was doing there for 1 minute? Because that next minute, look who enters the house. Here's the weird thing. Somebody got it backwards. They said someone exited before they entered. And all these errors in this report that Brett Payne and Nunez wrote and Gunderson wrote looks to me like a big freaking mess that could potentially exonerate Brian Kohberger. Then they all leave at 9:15, and the patio door was locked and sealed. And this is on the 13th, but how can it be locked and sealed when I'm about to show you a report of when the bodies were escorted out? There's only 2 reports when they were escorted. At 8:51, they escorted 2 of the victims for transport to go to the funeral home. And then at 21:37, they remained as the last 2 were offloaded, and that was at 21:45. How could that be possible when we just saw that they closed and locked the scene at a specific time? And this Jay Waters is the same guy who reported somebody used his body cam and logged it in to the department. But he says right here, it was not me. Somebody drove the patrol car transporting 2 Moscow police cadets to Kibbe Dome, but it was not me. What in the world is going on? I mean, I could go over the PCA and talk about Dylan's statement and the bushy eyebrows, which she never said bushy eyebrows until the day Kohberger was arrested. I just shared that the other day on my video on my live. Then they show the Elantra circling around, which is not the accurate time. And then Kohberger's phone go dark, and then the DNA match on the sheet snap. The PCA isn't proof. It's just barely enough to arrest. It was circumstantial at best. Does this piece of the puzzle fit? No. The reports don't make sense. This piece of the puzzle doesn't make sense. I mean, come on, guys. You can go piece it together. What doesn't fit for you? What doesn't make sense for you? Here's the bigger picture and theories. Prosecution story versus the defense challenges. The defense was the Sheath contamination and planting and chain of custody. It's clear. I mean, you can go look at what they did for the chain of custody for the actual Sheath, right? Moscow says exactly what they did. They had the Sheath in possession on the 13th. That's what they say. They log it into evidence on the 14th, but they don't send it anywhere until the 21st. And they have one of the detectives go and fly and go to Houston with the Sheath. They go through the airport, right? He flies in on 93, supplement 93. He flies into Houston. No body camera to prove it. There's no evidence other than he gets on a plane. He travels from Meridian, drops out the evidence at the ISP, and then all of a sudden he's getting on a plane going to Houston the next day. He took possession of it and then went back, placed it in a small backpack, stayed in my possession, flew into Houston, goes to Woodlands, which is a beautiful area, by the way. I used to live in Texas. And then he goes to Othram at about 3 o'clock. He handled the evidence and the DNA profile to JF, an employee for Othram. And do you know, there is so much controversy in this. So much. And then, I mean, I can get into this just a little bit. Kathy Maybutt, she said it had to have been a really big knife to inflict all those injuries and kill 4 people. This is what she told Fox News Digital on Sunday. That the wounds look like tears and big gouges. But she said, oh, but 2 of them must have been awake after she said all 4 were asleep. Now, this person has never done an autopsy. You can go on and read the rest of this report. She's never done an autopsy. And then she says she does probably about I look into 1 or 2 suspicious deaths a week. A week in that county, guys. Since her main job is a defense lawyer and the 2 jobs overlap, her law office took on another client. Yeah, guys, the people in this story, this is like way overload. But always go back to the reports. The reports are going to tell you it's messy. It's messy. And this could actually have exonerated Brian Kohberger. 100%. The real story is the timeline. And the defense shatters the sequence. Kohberger walks. Because why? Dylan's credibility is out the window. Multiple unknown, factual, 3 male DNA and 2 female. And there's a handful of people that have still refused to give their DNA to exonerate themselves. Coroner's role about the wounds, the timeline, and the media interviews falls apart. Probable cause is built on fragile pillars. Remember what I said about the cracks in this case? Yep. There's massive cracks in this case. So do you think that does sound like probable cause or circumstantial stitching? Because that probable cause was exactly exaggerated. Let's think about that for a minute. The real story, the truth, always sets you free. And who is going to tell the truth on behalf of Bryan Kohberger? Who out there is going to speak up for Bryan Kohberger? Crickets. Crickets. I've called many of attorneys out of state. Some attorneys in the state won't get involved. They got their guy. He confessed. Let it go. This is what we're hearing. So what are we getting wrong? They're saying we're getting all the evidence wrong. How is it we're getting it wrong? The defense laid it all out. They couldn't put him there. Prosecution, defense, he wasn't there. He had an alibi. He didn't harass or stalk them. He didn't know any of these individuals. So what's the real truth? What's the real evidence? Because going up against the state of Idaho, you'd have to be really dumb, because they're the people that put him in prison. They're the ones that charge him. They charged him. And if you didn't listen to my podcast or my video yesterday, they're the ones that put him there. They had to have someone take the fall. So what do we do? What do I do? What do you do? What can we do? We find and share the truth. That's what we do. And we keep sharing it, because these kids did not get justice. Bryan Kohberger did not get justice. 4 unknown male DNA, 2 possible female unknown DNA. That's what will set Kohberger free. The truth and the timeline is the perfect story, and the real story that will set Kohberger free and exonerate him. So what do you all think? After hearing what you know now for the last week or so since this police body cam dropped, what do you think now? Do you think they got the right guy? Do you think? I've got a guy in Utah that's looking at this. The Innocent Project in Idaho says they don't have any funding. 95, if you didn't listen to yesterday's 95% that plead guilty are done through plea deals. Almost 18 to 20% are innocent. That's 1 in 5 cases people are innocent. 1 to 5. Keep sharing till someone steps up to take the case. Keep sharing, keep listening, keep sharing videos, keep getting the truth out there. The truth is in their own statements. It's in their own movements and what they do. It's in their statements. What proof do we have of the firemen that could have exonerated BK? What proof do we have that Farley was involved in this? What proof do we have? We don't have proof. Proof is it sets people free from these situations. Proof will set people free. This is an actual court case. This isn't made up. He didn't do it. Because an innocent man may be behind bars. And that's exactly what Anne says. It's probably not the greatest dream you've heard, but it's the truth. The real story usually sets people free. The petition will be live on the website. I had to change it to meet some legal requirements. But you guys keep sharing the heck out of our website that we've built as a community, Justice for All. Keep sharing. Far and wide, people are starting to take notice. There's an area to write the DOJ, the Autism Innocent Project, that the petition will go live. There's a letter to the DOJ. You can go all the court documents. We're going to be talking about autism. Hopefully we'll have the panel on Wednesday night. We'll be talking about all these court documents and why it was so important for Anne to get the point across. All his diagnostics are in here too. I talked about the Autism and Innocence Project the other night. You can go to their website. Even talks about the National Registry of Exonerations. How many people have been exonerated from DNA evidence, the truth, recanting witnesses? That project is there too. You can go and look at that. And as all the little bits of truth and all the questioning come out and all the videos that are now finally seeing that Brian is factually innocent, we even went over what does factually innocent mean. We talked about that. There's actually an agency, Cato Institute, the Constitution, Law, Economics, Political. It's amazing. 95% came from guilty pleas rather than jury trials. And then 18% of those false guilty pleas that an innocent person was coerced by prosecutors into a guilty plea of a crime they didn't in fact commit. What? Wait a minute. What? Yes, a crime they didn't commit. Do you remember what Bill Thompson said in court?
Just as a housekeeping matter, there will be the issue of restitution. That is, the documentation is being gathered, and we ask the court would defer that for 30 days so we can present it in an orderly fashion and make sure it's comprehensive for everyone.
The objection to leaving restitution open in 60 days. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think it's necessary and appropriate to share for everyone here, including the court, the background that brings us in front of Your Honor today for these proceedings. As the record reflects, and as everybody in this courtroom knows, the defendant has pleaded guilty to all 5 counts charged in the indictment. Under oath before Your Honor, he has admitted that the charges against him are true. He has reassured the court that he has not been coerced or threatened to make those admissions. And Your Honor did an extraordinary job in taking the pleas back on July 2nd. We appreciate the court's discipline and insight. The defendant has also waived appeal on the multitude of rulings from this court and Your Honor's predecessor in Latah County on literally dozens of motions seeking to dismiss the case, seeking to control or limit evidence, seeking to offer evidence that would not be appropriate. And we appreciate the court's consistent rulings based on the law, based on the facts. As Your Honor will recall, on June 18th, just really not that long ago. We appeared before this court for arguments on what became the defendant's final motions to this court. Motion where they wanted to offer evidence suggesting that other people were responsible for the defendant's actions.
And it was factually known that other people were responsible because Brian Kohberger is not responsible for these crimes. They got him to admit to these crimes wrongfully. And this is exactly what we've been talking about all week. If you don't understand why 95% of people plead out, there's a problem with guilty pleas. And it's on the Innocent Project's website. You can go and read all about that. Every single story that they have to share. It's there. They have a guilty plea problem. And we need our justice system to change. We need someone to take a look at this and say what is wrong with our justice system, especially those with autism. We talked about that the other night. And I don't need to preach to the choir. You guys can watch my videos where I'm pointing out all the mysterious things that are happening. And in addition to this,
Phoenix here, and there may be a mysterious witness that has a text of the roommates saying something shocking. I don't know if you've seen this, but I discovered it. I want to share it with you.
in this document, this key female witness states that she was friends with Kernoodle, Santa, and that she has a text from the roommates that could specifically say that there was someone that may have been inside rummaging around in the house. And this was made a statement by the roommates. So depending on the time of that text that she has, hopefully she gave it to the investigators. Now, this is huge because this would put the proper timeline in place if it was not, in fact, the time that the officials say. Just another key find in these documents, guys. Make sure to do your thing, TikTok. Do your thing.
Phoenix.
And there you have it. There is a mysterious secret witness out there that has a text that could put the timeline in place. And that is the real story that we should be focused on. Getting the truth out there that will set Brian Kohberger free and exonerate him. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks for all your comments, your love, your concern. That was just one little nice Phoenix fireball put in your hands. The Phoenix fireball of truth. Each and every one of you, thank you for joining. Make sure you like, follow, share, subscribe, and make sure that you tell a friend. Because if I tell you, and 200 people tell 200 people, it's called the power of exponentiate. 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4, 4 + 4 is 8, and so on and so forth. And that is how we share. Be well.
Feel the heat, truth ignites us from inside. Hear the roar, we'll never run, we'll never hide. Phoenix drops fireballs of truth, flames that scorch the darkest roof. Watch deception burn away, feel the dawn of honest day. Rise again with wings of flame, we will never be the same. Phoenix fireballs of truth, we rise, we rise.
Essentially convicted in the media. You don't have to read but a few articles to see how negative they are about him. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Brian is innocent.